Oh, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining. My name is Jeff Netchai. I'm the CTO here at Duos Technologies. And today, joining me in the studio is Derek Schmeck. He's our VP of Research Development and Innovation. And I also have with me Mark Smith. Mark Smith is our Chief Mechanical Officer. And joining us remotely is Alex Pesos. He was a Senior Business Development Specialist with NVIDIA in the smart spaces and metropolis areas. So again, thank you for joining us. What we're talking about today is how Duos Technologies Railcar Inspection Portal. It uses advanced hardware and services and the Accelerated Computing Platform to deliver real-time AI-powered results to our customers. So that's really what we're talking about today. We're going to lift some of the covers. We're going to talk about some of the technology involved, including that provided by NVIDIA. So to start things off, before we go too far, I'm going to pass it over to Derek to kind of explain at a high level, for those of you who may not be familiar with the Railcar Inspection Portal, well, really kind of how it's put together at an extremely high level and maybe some of the technologies that are used. Derek, you want to talk about that for a few minutes?
Sure. Our Rail Inspection Portal is essentially a high-speed imaging system that takes pictures of a train 360 degrees around the train at track speed. We have systems that go all the way up to 125 miles per hour. Once we take those images in, the system then runs those images through our AI algorithms that then detect mechanical flaws or anomalies and other safety features that we're looking for in our portal. Additionally, we take those images and put them through our Centrico user interface platform that allows us to display those images to our customers so that they can utilize those images for mechanical car inspectors or just curious onlookers at the railroad companies.
Oh, very cool. Good. Very high level, a good high level description of what it is that we do here with the Railcar Inspection Portal. You did mention artificial intelligence, and that's really everybody knows that's really a good buzzword, and everybody's interested. It seems like AI is being used for everything these days. So tell us a little bit about how the AI actually is used within the Railcar Inspection Portal. Not so much what it's used for yet. We're going to get to that with Mark, but maybe what some of the technologies are involved in kind of doing it.
Okay. So we utilize NVIDIA's GPUs to not only do our training, but also our inferencing. Inferencing is the actual act of the artificial intelligence system, recognizing objects, recognizing the mechanical detections that we're looking for. That's done, not to get into the real heavy detailed mathematics behind it, but it uses convolutional math and neural networks. Essentially weighted values are applied based on the images that are pushed into it. The way we do that is we take thousands of images. We have a team of labelers and staff that we label those images, showing the objects that we want to particularly detect, looking for the flaws in that object that we've detected, and then we train those on our GPUs, of course, and then that model is then pushed to the edge where we process those images locally at the edge, because it's essentially the images are such a high, so much data involved there to be able to process it.
Good. Okay. So lots of technology involved in
lots of technology involved.
Getting AI out to our customers, getting the results out to our customers. So Mark, as a Chief Mechanical Officer for our company, you're really the subject matter expert, and you provide a lot of guidance to a lot of our teams here at Duos Tech. And you work very closely with the labelers as well as the algorithm developers, our data scientists. And well, as the subject matter expert, you're kind of looking for that importance. You're looking for what kind of detections we can find with our AI, and what's important to the railroads that are using our Railcar Inspection Portal system. So with that being said, talk about the value of AI, talk about the value of the system. Why is a railroad interested in this system? Why are inspectors interested in this system?
Yeah, Jeff, first and foremost, it's across, public and the rail, it's safety.
Mhm.
You're taking some of your chemical carbon out of the field, the walking conditions, the weather element, you're inspecting it. But then also it's going to increase your velocity and at the same time, decrease your dwell time. What that means is dwell time, you get an alert to a defect coming in that doesn't have to be sent out of the train. You have your people standing by with the materials, parts, you pull up next to the train, they flag it in, and do the safety checks, fix it, and it goes right back out there. It doesn't have to come out of the train.
Okay, so it's really, it really does increase efficiency. You mentioned dwell time. We know that's extremely important. Some of the things we talk about here in our hallways are algorithms, detections, defects, anomalies. Can you maybe show us a couple of those, show the audience a couple of those to see exactly what it is that we're talking about?
Yeah, one of the first ones we recently developed here is the EOC in-car cushion. Since we released it mid-May to the date, we've detected 200 defective in-car cushions. The two styles you see here, square head, round head, which have been known to lead to derailments. Another one is what we're really focusing on now is the wheel-to-rail interface, which basically where the rubber meets the road. We're looking at detecting broken flanges and just anything to deal with the trucks and the braking system at the wheel-to-rail interface.
Okay, very cool. And those are detections that our labeling team, they work very closely with Mark and his team to make sure that they're identifying important ones. I think that's real good work. Everything that we have is extremely, all the detections are extremely important and
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
As I mentioned earlier, we're joined remotely by Alex Pezos. He's from NVIDIA. And for those of you in the audience that may not be, well, you may be familiar with NVIDIA, especially if you or a member of your family is into gaming. I think since the early 90s, they've been a leader in advanced graphics processors for the used especially in gaming. It allows the video to be rendered very, very quickly. Of course, they do much more than that, and they've been a longtime partner for ours, for Duos Tech, and we've had a very successful partnership for many years. Alex, can you maybe just a quick introduction for our audience of NVIDIA and maybe some of the other things that you folks do, especially what you do for us?
Definitely. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so just briefly to touch on, how NVIDIA is leading AI, right? I think the critical pieces that, we're actually transforming ourselves, right? So we're just not that GPU company anymore, right? Like, yeah, big focus, it's in gaming, like you mentioned, but we're actually transforming multiple industries. And how we're doing that today, and here are some key indicators, right? So we have over 1 billion GPUs sold, right? CUDA GPUs. We have over 14,000 AI startups that are actually leveraging our GPUs and also our platforms. And some of the key things, how we're becoming a platform company, is that we have over 450 plus SDK software platforms and models that our partners are using. And actually, these indicators is what's allowing multiple industries to transform themselves and actually go into a journey of AI, right? And now to give you the breadth of the capability, right? Today we're focusing on Metropolis, right? So I'm part of the Metropolis team, and I wanted to highlight that Duos Tech is a Metropolis elite partner, right? So they leverage not only the GPU, but they also leverage some of our platforms that are part of the Metropolis ecosystem. Metropolis focuses heavily on intelligent video analytics to do computer vision workloads, but extending that, and so the audience has an understanding of the breadth of the capability. We also have other platforms like Reba or Nemo, right? Right now, as you've seen in the internet and the buzz, right? There's a huge buzz around large language models, ChatGPT, right? So conversational AI, Nemo, extends into that capability. So I wanted to highlight that, right? In the future, right? Once we start adding capabilities into the Duos Tech technology, imagine you get in front of your platform and you can actually have a real-time conversation with the platform, and say, hey, what anomalies were detected, right? And then on the fly, that will be displayed. Just some examples, right? Also, we have QOP for vehicle routing, digital twins, and the list goes on, as you saw there on the slide, previous slide. Jeff, back to you.
Sure, that's perfect, Alex. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's perfect. So the you mentioned we're an NVIDIA Metropolis partner, an elite NVIDIA Metropolis partner. The solution that we have here with the Railcar Inspection Portal, it's so very specific to railroads, and sometimes my mind goes to, wow, and NVIDIA covers a lot of different industries. Do you guys have a lot of experience with other things that you're doing in the railroads, with applying your technology to railroads in other ways?
Yeah, 100%. And this is going back to the slides, right? These are some key rail use cases, right? Powered by AI, right? So not only mechanical inspection, but you also have predictive maintenance. I think earlier in the conversation, safety and security was mentioned, right? And of course, you have all the sub-segments, right? What these use cases can fit in. But yeah, Jeff, 100%, we expand from mechanical inspection all the way to safety and security, right? Which it can apply to multiple use cases within, the audience that's today present.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, thank you for that. I mean, it provides a lot of information for us. So we know why the partnership has been so successful for us with NVIDIA, and I do appreciate that. Mark talked about the benefits a few minutes ago, the benefits of the Railcar Inspection Portal to the client. It's getting these detections in close to real time. Derek, maybe I want to go back to you for this. Can you give us some of the challenges about getting detections and images kind of, acquired and detections done in close to real time?
Absolutely.
It seems challenging.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges is handling the amount of data that's being generated by these cameras. Unlike video surveillance data, which has inherently compressed data, our images are coming in at raw image data, which is a completely all the whole picture is there. There's no compression or anything. For example, one of our projects for 125 miles an hour, we're actually going to be we generate over 80 gigabytes of data per second. Just to give you kind of a example of what that looks like from a computer standpoint, we would be filling up your normal home computer in about 4 seconds. And that, it takes a lot of data in order for us to process our images at where we essentially are getting our detections in around 60 seconds at that point. We are using a high-speed backplane that's also an NVIDIA product, the Mellanox Connect X6 to perform that. Yeah.
It's excellent. Okay, so it doesn't happen very easy is what I'm hearing.
It does not.
It takes a lot.
takes a lot.
So, I mean, we mentioned the speed. Actually, I think one of the things that we've had come about recently is, I don't know, up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, our detections were actually getting back to the client in about, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, somewhere around there. We've actually gotten down to 1.3 minutes on the average, which is a huge improvement. That's all the way from the time the image is acquired all the way to when the detection is able to be seen by the client. So we're very proud of that. Again, kind of focusing back on what the client sees, Mark, and what the client is dealing with, what our railroad customers are dealing with in the way of the solution. We talked about mechanical defects. We talked about defects on rail cars. Is there anything else that the solution can do? For example, if we talk about our rail exchanges near the borders and things like that.
We've also built in-house an authorized rider detection. It's working very well. It looks at the top and sides of cars. It also will pick up contraband. Someone left a backpack or someone left, blankets, something like that. So yeah, it kind of gives you a almost 360-degree kind of security, built-in security system with artificial intelligence to pick those riders up.
Yeah, and that speaks to something else that you mentioned earlier. That's a safety issue. That's a human safety issue that is extremely important. I mean, we don't have to explain the dangers of doing that, but yeah, I appreciate that. So Derek, look, back to Derek now, we talked about a lot of technology. Everything from what NVIDIA is supplying to the servers, the acquisition, and the different systems that are used for that. Where do you see this technology heading? I mean, what's on the horizon for Duos Tech and for the Railcar Inspection Portal?
With technology expanding, hardware and software technology evolution is growing. We're actually able to reduce the footprint of the technology as far as how much space it takes up, the reduction in the complexity of the technology, as well as improved efficiencies and throughputs, adding capabilities that we weren't able to add before. We actually are in process of developing new technologies in our RDI department that'll essentially be sensing, bringing in different sensor types in other scenarios to help keep our customers moving faster. Actually, I did want to mention we on the NVIDIA side, we actually have been looking forward thinking. We're actually looking at the ConnectX-7, the 400 gigabyte connectivity that NVIDIA has. We're looking into embedded SOM modules, as well as even the Bluefield DPU. And we've even explored the Hopper Grace CPU as well.
Good.
I'll hand it off to Alex here. He probably can actually talk to that technology a little better than I can.
No, like Derek mentioned, I think one of the values, right, lowering, of course, the overall infrastructure required, but also, energy efficient, right? So, for example, Derek mentioned the Grace CPU, right, it's an ARM-based CPU that's hitting the market, and that's going to be a game changer, right? Because one of the biggest impacts, right, it's energy, right? So if you could lower that energy requirement, this is going to allow us to deploy a lot more of these, RIP systems, right, throughout your railways, right? So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. And actually the last slide I wanted to show, which I think points out, how Metropolis actually allows you to future-proof your solution and your deployments. And I think going back to what Derek mentioned, right, or even Jeff, right, like, hey, we lowered from 5 minutes or 3 minutes detection to 1 minute, 1 point something minutes, right? That's a huge value, right? So now imagine tomorrow, hey, I want to implement some safety and security applications throughout my current environment. This is what Metropolis allows you to do, right? So you can plug in a new application and accelerate the other use cases, right? So that's the critical advantage there for Metropolis and the partnership that we have with Duos Tech.
That's excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's all the time we have. I'm getting assigned to wrap it up, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you again, all of you, for attending. Special thank you goes out to Alex from NVIDIA, who joined us remotely, and obviously thanks for the panel here. I appreciate that. If you're interested in the Railcar Inspection Portal or any of the technologies that we talked about today, please don't hesitate to visit our website at duostech.com. While you're there, you can also download a detection catalog. We were talking about AI and detections and algorithms. You can download that catalog to see our release detections. And I think we have time now for Q&A, yes? Okay, the first one is, what is Duos's AI detections accuracy rate? So we expect every AI detection that we have, when it's released, and there's a process to it being released. It goes from pipeline to development to beta, and then finally to a released status. We expect every released algorithm to be operating at 95% or higher. Now, I know when Mark talks to the AI folks over there, there's like 3 different ways that they measure it. But honestly, Duos Tech is talking about accuracy, which you folks call recall rate. So our recall rate is 95% or higher. That's what we expect on our released algorithms. It's important to note that all of the algorithms are continuously learning, and we're committed to continuous improvement, because maybe for 9 months they do operate at 95% for whatever reason. That slips by a few percentage points. They go back into the retraining hopper, and algorithms get retrained. So hopefully I was able to answer that. What critical area does the Railcar Inspection Portal focus on? I'm going to give that one to you, Mark.
Basically 360 degrees. We have systems with some upgraded systems. You can add oblique cameras, OView, which is in the gauge. It gives you a very, very good comprehensive inspection, 360 degrees around. So talking about AI again as well, you know, we use different cameras. For example, if I can see something in one camera, also see it in another camera, redundant backup. One misses it, the second one gets it. So yes.
Yeah. I especially like the vehicle undercarriage examiner, because now think about that. That's something that you don't usually see. Well, maybe railcar mechanics do because they're laying underneath the train, but we're able to see it remotely, and it just to me it's a lot of value in that camera. The last question on my screen anyway is what makes Duos different from other AI companies? So first of all, we're not an AI company. We are a company that does AI, and we are a company that does engineering and acquisition and software development. So one of our biggest differentiators in the marketplace is that we do everything from end to end involved with the Railcar Inspection Portal. We have a whole team of engineers that focus specifically on the optics and the lighting, most of which are built and patented by us in-house. All the way up to our algorithm developers and the labelers that we have. They're all here in-house in Jacksonville. And software and IT, all in between that. We have 2 software teams that are dedicated to creating software for the Centrico platform and the AI and so forth. So it's all done right here. I think the elimination of those dependencies is probably what is the biggest differentiator in my mind. Anybody want to weigh in on that?
No, I'm just going to say that the people coming from being a former Class 1 railroader myself, coming here, looking at the technology and what Duos has to offer, I actually, you know, I'm very excited about our product because I was one. I was that guy working, you know, the long hours, the snow, the rain, but be able to do a full thorough inspection from AC or in the heat. It's an amazing tool for this industry.
Do we have time for one more? Good. This one, I'm going to turn this. Well, actually, I'll read it. For open top loads, like a load of plates on flat cars, can these methods detect load instability or loss of securement, complementing any axle load shift detected by conventional wayside detectors?
Yes. Matter of fact, just released probably within the last week to 2 weeks, we developed it's called product overhanging. So anything that has been improperly loaded, as far as that, you know, shifted loads, pipe, scrap metal, whatever case may be, does detect that. And as far as unsecurement load, we do not currently have that AI. That is in my pipeline, as Jeff spoke about doing, but with the system, you can visually see top sides and everything. We do have one for A-frame cars, for those railroaders who know what I'm talking about, A-frame cars with the basket weave cables is what it's called. So when the load is the car is unloaded, and if they're not properly stowed, it'll catch them, basically a rat's nest. When they're not stowed correctly. So yes.
Yeah. Good. Hopefully that answered it. I understood 20% of it. That's good. One more. Can I do one more? So does this, I'm assuming does the solution give real-time critical alerts? It gives close to real-time critical alerts. Real-time, technically is within a sub-second kind of thing, but it's close to real-time. So what happens is we do the detection, and then we have an API. You can get the real-time alerts through the API, through SMS as well as email. But most of our customers do use the API because they want to ingest those alerts into their system as quickly as possible, which will then allow them to do in their backend systems what they need to do to alert specific personnel and so forth. Anything you want to, okay, that was it.
Covered it.
That was a good answer. All right. Let's see if we have any more. Is sound also inspected or detected? That's a Derek
That's a good
question.
one. Actually, yeah, we are in, we're in the process of developing a product that'll be using acoustic detection as well as seismic detection sensing capability, which will allow us to do a number of new inspections down the future. That'll be in our pipeline very soon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, in case you were, in case we didn't get to all your questions, I think I did, but in case we didn't get to all your questions, you can always send an email to sales@duostech.com. And again, please remember to visit our website at duostech.com, download a catalog. And again, once again, I appreciate, thank you to the entire panel and thank you for the audience members for joining today. And have a great day. Thanks.